We're here at the KinoFlo booth with Tom Jacobs. He's the head of sales around here, and he's got some new stuff to show us.
Good to see you, AJ. Yeah, we have the Celeb 200, which is being really, really popular. So we went from the 200 now to the 400. We have two versions. This is being the 400Q. Obviously square. If I may just roll this around. The controllability is exactly the same as the 200. So once you know one, you know them all. This is AC and DC capable, but it's as bright as like a 2K soft light.
Tell us a little bit about the control system for those people who are not aware of it.
Sure. One thing, it's DMXable, so you can run it up in a rig, from a lighting board, or manually, and it has presets. So you have preset 27, 32, 4K, 5, and 55K. But over here, you have a knob or attenuator that can go in between. You have a toggle that's just coarse or fine, so you can very quickly shift through color temps, or you can toggle it and refine that. Here's the best part. Once you find a color temperature that matches maybe other instruments you're using, you can program them. All 5 of these are resettable program buttons. So now 3400 is in there. I can go to maybe a 4K range. Maybe I've got a little daylight and tungsten mix. Put that in here. So once those are set, they'll remain set. I can say I'm doing a TV episodic. I can go from a kitchen to a bedroom, have them marked, I can just go there, and I'm right back to that color rendering that I had before. With today's shooting styles, 450, 600 ISO or higher, maybe 2000. They're running these at 18, 20, 25% or even less. So this is very important. So when you go to 100% on this thing, it is very, very bright. This is the 400 center mount. Or it can also be yoke mount or pull-up. This is more the shape of the 4x4 bank. So one thing you'll notice is our form factors are familiar. The Celeb 200 looks like a Diva. The Celeb 400 is more like a 4-bank, and the 400Q is kind of like a Parabeam. We've gone past CRI. CRI is really not relevant to LED. It has a different color rendering and colorimetry. So PRI is the photo rendering index, and what that is, we had to extrapolate the color curves from the cameras, because everything's digital now, right? Film, you had the stocks, we knew exactly what it was, and we could match fluorescent to that, and we'd be good to go. But now, every digital camera is your film stock. So we had to extrapolate that information and then find a middle ground. We start at the top, with the Alexas and the Reds and things like that, but we try to get a middle ground for all those.
I think CRI, like a lot of terms, became sort of a marketing punch for LEDs because people didn't really know how to rate them, and it sort of got out of hand what people were talking about with CRI. So it's great. It's good to see that you guys are actually figuring out what actually works in our world.
And here's an interesting point. An instrument might have a high CRI, but a very low PRI. In other words, on the flip side, you can have a high PRI and a low CRI, but that's okay if that's what the elements you're using. So, you have to know your product, the camera, and lighting, but I think we're bridging that gap, making it easier for those to put this up and get a good reading on any kind of camera.
Correct. And like you said with CRI, again, there are a lot of types of LED that they've figured out a way to sort of fool the CRI readings so that, you may have a 98 CRI, but it's a crappy light.
Yeah. And you might show 32 on a color meter, but then when you go to the camera, go, this is not even close. So this is where we're trying to stay ahead of the curve, once again, set the bar, and make everybody catch up with us.
That's perfect.
Not too fast, though.